Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learner Podcast. I'm Anna. We're so happy you're here today. If you enjoy learning English with us, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more useful lessons and real-life conversations.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tom, and I'm excited to learn English with you today.
Today's topic is Talk About Your Skills. This is a very useful topic because we often need to talk about our skills in daily life, at school or at work.
Yes, that's right. We talk about our skills when we introduce ourselves, apply for a job, or describe what we can do in different situations.
Let's start with simple sentences. You can say, I can speak English, or I can use a computer.
You can also say, I am good at math, or I am good at drawing.
Another useful sentence is, I have experience in teaching, or I have experience in working with children.
You can also talk about your hobbies as skills. For example, I can play the guitar, or I can cook.
It is also important to give reasons. For example, I can speak English because I practice every day, or I am good at cooking because I enjoy it.
Giving reasons makes your answer longer and more natural.
You can also talk about your level. For example, I am a beginner, I am intermediate, or I am advanced.
Yes, for example, I am an intermediate English learner, or I am a beginner at playing the guitar.
Another useful idea is to talk about learning new skills. You can say, I am learning how to drive, or I am learning how to speak English better.
You can also say, I want to improve my skills, or I want to learn new things.
Let's try a simple example. I can say, I am good at teaching English because I have experience with students.
And I can say, I can help students learn new words and improve their speaking.
You can also ask questions. For example, what skills do you have?
And you can answer, I can use a computer, and I can speak English.
Another useful question is, what are you good at?
And the answer can be, I am good at communication, or I am good at solving problems.
You can also talk about your strengths. For example, I am a hardworking person, or I am very patient.
You can also say, I am responsible, or I am a fast learner.
These are important when you talk about your skills, especially in school or work situations.
You can also give examples from your daily life. For example, I use a computer every day for my work, or I practice English by watching videos.
Another idea is to talk about teamwork. For example, I can work well in a team, or I can help others.
Or you can say, I can work independently, which means you can work alone.
You can also talk about communication skills. For example, I can speak clearly, or I can explain ideas easily.
These are very useful skills in many situations.
Remember, you don't need difficult words. Simple and clear sentences are enough to talk about your skills.
The key is to practice speaking and adding small details to your answers.
The more you practice, the more confident and natural your English will become when talking about your skills.
Now let's talk about more real-life situations where you can talk about your skills in English. For example, you may need to talk about your skills in a job interview, at school, or even when meeting new people.
Yes, and you can start with simple sentences like, I can speak English, or I can use a computer.
You can also say, I am good at communication, and I like working with people.
Let's try a short conversation. I'll ask, what skills do you have?
I can answer, I can use a computer, and I can speak English.
Then I can ask, what are you good at?
And I can answer, I am good at solving problems and working in a team.
That's a great answer because it is clear and simple.
You can also talk about your skills in daily life. For example, I can cook, or I can play football.
Or, I am good at drawing, or I am good at singing.
Another situation is talking about your skills at school. You can say, I am good at math, or I am good at English.
And you can add details, like, I am good at English because I practice every day.
Let's try another conversation. I'll ask, what are you good at in school?
I can answer, I am good at English and art.
Then I can ask, why are you good at English?
And I can answer, because I practice speaking and listening every day.
You can also talk about your work skills. For example, I can use Microsoft Word, or I can work with a team.
Or, I can manage my time well, which is also an important skill.
Another useful situation is when someone asks, can you do this job?
And you can answer, yes, I can, or I'm learning, but I will try my best.
You can also give more details, like, yes, I can do this job because I have experience, or I am confident because I have done similar work before.
Another useful question is, what skills do you want to improve?
And you can answer, I want to improve my speaking skills, or I want to improve my computer skills.
You can also talk about your experience. For example, I worked as a teacher, or I helped my family business.
Or, I have experience working with customers, which is very useful in many jobs.
Let's try another conversation. I'll ask, do you have any experience?
I can answer, yes, I have experience working with a team.
Then I can ask, what did you do?
And I can answer, I helped my team complete tasks and solve problems.
You can also talk about soft skills. For example, I am patient, I am friendly, or I am a good listener.
These skills are very important in communication.
Another situation is talking about learning. You can say, I am learning new skills every day, or I like improving myself.
You can also say, I practice my skills by reading, watching videos, and speaking with others.
Another useful idea is to compare your skills. For example, I am better at speaking than writing, or I am stronger in math than in science.
This helps you explain your strengths more clearly.
You can also talk about your goals. For example, I want to become better at English, or I want to learn new computer skills.
Let's try one more conversation. I'll ask, what are your strengths?
I can answer, I am hardworking and I am good at communication.
Then I can ask, how do you improve your skills?
And I can answer, I practice every day and learn from my mistakes.
These are real-life situations where you can talk about your skills clearly and naturally.
Yes, using simple sentences and adding small details will help your English sound more natural.
The more you practice talking about your skills, the more confident you will become.
Practicing these conversations will help you use English in real situations easily and comfortably.
Now let's talk about how to practice English when talking about your skills. One of the best ways is to use your real-life experiences. Think about what you can do and try to describe it in English every day.
Yes, that's a great idea. For example, you can say, I can use a computer, or I am good at teaching, and try to add more details each time.
You can also practice thinking in English. For example, when you are doing something, you can think, I am cooking, or I am using my computer.
Thinking in English helps you speak more naturally and quickly.
Another useful way is to write short sentences about your skills. For example, I am good at communication because I like talking to people.
Writing helps you organize your ideas and remember new vocabulary.
You can also practice speaking out loud. For example, introduce yourself and talk about your skills. My name is Anna. I can speak English and I am good at teaching.
You can record yourself and listen again to improve your pronunciation and confidence.
Another great strategy is to practice with a friend or family member. You can ask each other questions like, what skills do you have? And answer with simple sentences.
You can also do role play. One person can be an interviewer and the other person can answer questions about their skills.
For example, what are your strengths? And you can answer, I am hardworking and I can work well in a team.
Another helpful tip is to learn new vocabulary step by step. Start with simple words like skill, experience, learn, and practice.
Then you can learn more words like communication, teamwork, problem solving, and organization.
Using these words in sentences will help you remember them better.
You can also practice giving reasons. For example, I am good at English because I practice every day, or I am good at cooking because I enjoy it.
Giving reasons makes your answers longer and more natural.
Another idea is to describe your daily activities. For example, I use my computer every day for work, or I practice English by watching videos.
This helps you connect your skills with real-life situations.
You can also practice talking about your goals. For example, I want to improve my speaking skills, or I want to learn new things.
Talking about goals shows that you are learning and improving.
Another useful tip is to practice adding details. For example, I can speak English can become I can speak English, and I practice every day by talking to my friends.
Yes, adding details makes your English more interesting and clear.
You can also practice comparing your skills. For example, I am better at speaking than writing, or I am stronger in communication than in math.
This helps you explain your strengths more clearly.
Another idea is to practice using different situations. For example, talk about your skills at school, at home, or at work.
The more situations you practice, the more confident you will become.
Remember, you don't need perfect English. Simple and clear sentences are enough to talk about your skills.
The most important thing is to practice regularly and not be afraid of making mistakes.
Yes, every time you practice, you improve your speaking skills and build your confidence.
Now let's wrap up our discussion about talking about your skills in English. Remember, using simple and clear sentences and practicing every day will help you improve.
Yes, and don't forget to add small details. For example, instead of just saying, I can cook, you can say, I can cook and I practice new recipes every week. This makes your English sound more natural.
Another tip is to practice speaking with friends, family, or classmates. You can ask, what skills do you have? And answer with full sentences. This kind of practice is very helpful.
You can also practice writing about your skills. For example, I am good at English because I read books and watch videos every day. Or, I am good at teamwork because I like helping others. Writing helps you remember words and phrases.
Listening is also important. You can listen to English conversations about skills, like job interviews or student presentations. Pay attention to how people describe their skills and try to copy their sentences.
Another tip is to give examples when talking about your skills. For example, I am good at drawing because I draw every weekend. Or, I am good at using a computer because I practice typing and learning new software. Examples make your skills clearer.
You can also talk about your goals. For example, I want to improve my English speaking skills. Or, I want to learn new computer skills. Talking about goals shows motivation.
Don't forget to use polite and confident expressions. You can say, I am confident that I can do this, or I would like to improve my skills. Polite language is very important in school or work situations.
Another strategy is to describe your skills in different situations, at school, at work, or at home. For example, I help my team at work, or I teach my little brother English at home. This makes your English more practical.
And remember, repetition is key. Practice your sentences many times until they feel natural. For example, I am good at communication, or I can use a computer.
The more you practice, the more confident you will become. Speaking about your skills will feel easier and more natural over time.
Thank you so much for listening to the English Learner podcast today. We hope this episode helps you talk about your skills with confidence.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more lessons and real-life conversations. Practice every day and use English in your daily life.
See you in the next episode. Keep learning, stay confident, and enjoy your English journey.
Bye, everyone. Keep practicing, use your skills, and have fun while learning.
Remember, every small step helps you improve. Keep going and never give up.